near you.
Well, there's Julianne with Rosemary and Gary Spice. We got prospecting. Are you out there looking for gold there? Hey, Rosemary, Kathy A, Denise. Well, where's Crystal? I don't see you, Crystal. Huh? What do you say there, Gene Hudson? Well, where's Brian at? Well, welcome everybody to another edition. Nice to see you on this Wednesday evening. Thanks for tuning in. So, how you doing there, Tracy?
I am doing well. How you doing today?
Ah, wonderful. There is Cheyenne. Welcome to the show, Cheyenne. Nice to see you there. Cheyenne is watching from up there from Ohio. So, a round of applause, everybody. So, a couple of things, right? Hey, Hannah. Welcome to the show. Round of applause for Hannah. So, first off, thank you all. So everybody's asking, do you have any other means to donate for your trips? Yeah, guys. All right. So I threw out there a Cash App. I threw out there Venmo. And I've got whatever else. I got Venmo, Cash App, whatever. And I got all kinds. So I threw it out there. Thank you all. Hey, Virgil, welcome to the show. Welcome, Eric. So thank you very much. It's out there. I really appreciate that. So I am going to Arizona and Michigan. Arizona, everybody keeps telling me it's hot. It's hot. And this morning I got a lecture to make sure I drank plenty of water. So yes, I'll be drinking plenty of water. And also, the other thing I wanted to talk about is that somebody is leaving the show and going on to better and brighter things. Tracy, do you want to talk about that?
I'm not saying it's better or brighter things. I just taking some time away from the show. It's been nothing but extremely happy with the work of the Grizzly. Great guy, great person. Just have a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. Music career seems to be maybe moving a little bit. The band's picking up and starting to get a little bit notice out there. So I got to dedicate a lot of time to it. I love the paranormal. I love the paranormal field. The people are great. And this show has been a blessing just to come across and meet a nice person like Grizzly and to meet all of you people, even though it's not face to face, just through text and stuff like that. Everybody's just great. It's been very, very positive experience for me. So thank you all for that.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, what he's saying is his music career is starting to take off. So, yeah, congratulations, Tracy. That's right. Everybody's saying congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm very proud of Tracy. He's put a lot of time into that over the past year and a half, and it's starting to have some fruition, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very happy that he's taken off and that we get to see him grow, right? Like I told him the other day, however, the door is always open in all of our shows and all of our platforms for him to come back and sing or to bring his paranormal group on. So the door is always open for Tracy. So, so everybody's still saying congratulations, Tracy. Look at that. Look at all that love that you got.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So the other announcement I have to make is that his replacement, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, she's outstanding. She is fabulous. You all fell in love with her from day one. You asked for me to bring her back, not once, but twice. And Tracy brought her back. Welcome, the one and only, Ane. Hello there. Welcome, Ane.
Hi.
Hello.
So Ane is going to slide right into there in home plate. And she's going to take over. And so welcome her aboard, everybody. She is now officially part of the Outlaw family. I know. Ain't that right, Julianne? So you'll see her full time now, not only on the crime shows and the psychic shows, but her own slot. So, that's very exciting. You all wanted her. So I once again ask and you shall receive, right, ladies and gentlemen? So, I know. Everybody's saying welcome to the family, Ane. So, so I was very pleased. However, if I die before I wake, the Lord will keep my soul, right? But I'm still going to come back and haunt Tracy. Remember that, Tracy? I'm going to jump up and down on your bed and play with your lights. So, right? So what we got going on tonight? You have somebody very famous and important, I see.
Bo, we got Michelle Roos is here. We're going to let her explain everything she got. She's like a jack of all trades in this paranormal fields, and really, really nice lady, and been wanting to get her on for a while now, and she got with us, and let's bring her on, Grizz.
All right, come on down. Michelle, welcome. How you doing there?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for the invite. I'm excited to be here tonight. So, I love talking all spooky. A little bit about myself. I actually was born with my abilities, but my abilities are a little different. I don't get a lot of the beautiful love notes, like, a loved one that passed and give you, I'm still thinking about you. As I was growing up, everything was like a nightmare because my imaginary friends, they were really scary looking. They were kids that had half their face gone or something wrong, and I could never figure out what the heck that was. And so I stayed in this state of fear for the longest time. I started to really, as I got older, try to figure out, why am I seeing them this way? Why won't they leave me alone? And always hearing, tell our story. And so as I started going on my own journey, I noticed that, okay, wait a minute. I am not supposed to be speaking for the living. I'm not supposed to give you guys those love notes of telling you that grandma still loves you and she misses you. I was actually supposed to be talking for spirit and spirit alone, and give them a voice of the ones that never had a voice in life. So as I started tapping into that kind of stuff, I noticed it was easier for me to kind of navigate my own life instead of getting bombarded by a horror flick every 5 minutes. So I started going down that rabbit hole, and I'm like, well, there's more that I need to do. And I just had this nagging feeling. So I went on and started studying and became a demonologist and also an exorcist. And so I do a lot of work with the churches. I also work with law enforcement because I let them know the grisly, no pun intended, things happen. And that's how I kind of navigate. So like when I go to a location, everybody talks about love and light. Yes, we have love and light, but we also have a dark side. And the dark side is what was going on with them in life. And so you have to have that balance. But if you notice, a lot of places we go, everybody wants to keep that part covered up. And so it becomes a thing where I start speaking for those. I mean, if you go to a sanitarium or something like that, or a hospital, those people that lived in those time eras, they actually were not treated the greatest. So they did have sorrow, they had depression, they had anger. And that's kind of the stuff that they tell me. And so I just kind of open up a new history book, if you would like to call that, to what was the ugly side of that time and try to give them that voice that they need. And that's me in a nutshell.
Interesting. How was it with your family, with your gifts? How did they take it?
Well, not so great. So I grew up in Europe, and it was one of those, when you talked about it, they're always like, oh, your imaginary friends, or, oh my God, those are tall tales. Where do you come up with this stuff? So it was kind of like trying to navigate, because at some point in my life, I thought I was going crazy because they would talk about those things. I remember going in Germany, I would always go to the corner to get my Oma fresh bread and stuff for lunches. And I'd always see the same car come up to me and always trying to get me into the car. And there was always this little blonde girl in the back seat staring at me, shaking her head no. And I wasn't sure what that meant. To me, when I see these things, I see them like I see you guys, real time. It's not pictures. It's not just an automatic something coming out. It's I'm talking physically to them. And I went running home telling them this guy was trying to get me in the car. I was able to explain the car, what the little girl looked like, what he looked like. They brought the police and everything and kept telling me I was telling a fib. And I knew I wasn't. Well, then found out years later, I described everything to a T, but that guy, he had passed away and they never found that little girl. And so when I was describing, they could not kind of put that together of like, why was I seeing it? But I could hear the motor of the car. I could feel him trying to pull me in. So it was really hard as a kid because we just weren't allowed to talk about that kind of stuff.
Now, who in your family had the abilities above you?
I believe because I think it was my Oma, because after my Opa passed away, I would hear her talking to someone like my Opa, and she would dance in the kitchen like she was dancing with him. And every time I seen her, she would always go, shh. And so I think it was one of those that we just did not talk about it.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you. Because I saw somebody above you. That's why I was asking. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tracy's fascinated with this subject, aren't you, Tracy?
It's all everything in the paranormal field is interesting. We've been doing this for over a year, and it's amazing to me the different things that you hear from everybody. If you're an outsider coming in to watch the show, you're like, holy cow, what are they talking about? I've learned so much over the past, over a year from different people. One thing I'm interested in is you have a degree in spiritual warfare and paranormal ministry.
Yes.
Can you explain the spiritual warfare? I'm sure people will be interested because I think I know what it means, but
Well, that goes along really with demonology. It's kind of more of the textbook of what you're being taught of, being a demonologist. The spiritual warfare is something we're already in. It's, good against evil. And it's kind of how would you say, like a map of trying to help you navigate through that. How do you work through it? What do you do to, put the scales higher for good than, the evil? This is something they've taught like in churches and different places too. And everybody has kind of their own way of knowing what spiritual warfare is. But it's something we have been through decades and decades. I think we'll constantly, but again, it's just kind of more of teaching that style of putting it into the paranormal, because if we're talking about spiritual warfare, we are talking about the spiritual side, not the living side.
Paranormal Pixie, for our audio listeners at iHeartRadio, wants to know, how do you get a degree in that, ma'am?
Well, actually, I had worked with some of the churches, and I went through their seminary to get that degree.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just I've been in the paranormal field for like 6 or 7 years. Prior to that, we always have different experiences. But one thing I'd never really thought about, when you sent me your bio, I was like, man, that's very interesting, because you've done a lot of things. You studied a lot. You've been involved for years. Exorcist, everything that always pops out to everybody, demonologist and exorcist. Are you allowed to talk about any of your experiences with either one of those?
I can, to a point. Now, let me make sure I clear something up. Doing an exorcism or anything like that, that is not something that is a daily thing.
Yeah.
When you're going through those kind of things, there is a lot that you have to go through, especially when it comes to medical research and things like that. So because of it being on that borderline of mental health, not everybody gets exercise. So there is more of the background of more of the counseling and different things before it actually becomes one of those. And the hard thing about it is because it's such a borderline of the mental health status, you have to be careful to know which way to go. Do they need to end up doing, more on the medical side? Is it a spiritual conflict in between? Sometimes it's both. And so trying to navigate through that is the biggest deal. So I don't go running into homes with a cross and say, demons be gone.
Yeah.
We're not sitting around kumbaya and saying all this stuff to get it gone. There you go.
Yeah.
But it again, there is so much in the background. When people just lightly say these things, everybody assumes that I am, constantly at somebody's house to exercise their home or their family. But there's actually more details in doing all those. And those can take months and months and months, and they still deal with people for years. It is really easy for people to blame everything on the devil. I mean, it's an easy way out there. Nothing makes sense to me. So I must be getting possessed, or I must be doing this.
Yeah.
And to try to navigate that person to actually look at themselves and see where it started, what's going on, and then, walking them through those stages to help them help themselves.
No, that's the perfect answer, right? So I'm a member of a group that does that as well, the case by case basis, and the mental thing is the big thing, right? I mean, you got to make sure that, is it alcohol related? Is there drugs related? But the mental stuff's a big thing as well. And I agree 100% with you on that. And so speaking of that, the exorcist part, I'm just curious, right? And we have had a few people on talk about it, so I kind of like to compare in my mind. If you're allowed to mention anything, was there anything that just kind of scared you with that so much you're like, hey, maybe I need to stop doing this?
Absolutely. So we were on a case, and it was a teen. And we did know some of the medication that person was on did also kind of help do self-manifestation of what was coming. Now, you got to remember, when we try to manifest something, our brains are so strong that we start manifesting our own demons. And sometimes that means if you're severely depressed, you can actually manifest a demon that will oppress you. But the thing was, this person believed so strongly that they were possessed that they actually did some of the physical things that would make you believe that. How they distort themselves and do different things like that. I'm going to tell you, the crazy thing is when somebody's walking on a back bend and they switch and turn their head, that's when you step back and go, whoa.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
I only seen this in the movies. What's going on? And then when you have, the clergy there and they're like, okay, this is your department. You figure this out and let us know, is there really something dark here and everything? And you're going, wait a minute, you guys are the big guns.
Yeah.
What's going on here? So it's just human nature of going, okay, I know I see really dark things. And that's why they call me in. What do you see around it? How do you do it? Kind of do the guidance for them to continue doing their work. I do not read the scriptures of deliverance and stuff. That's what they do. I am there to help them and make sure everybody's safe. So just so people know that. But when you see things, when somebody is so strongly thinking about, I am possessed and that's the only way, it will manifest the way they actually will act and be.
I've got a question for you from Julianne. If someone gets attacked or possessed, Do they need to take it easy afterwards or for a while? Is it emotional, mental, and physical? Just asking. She doesn't know. Thank you.
So it's all. When you're going through things like that, it does become an emotional, physical, all of it, and spiritual. You have to remember when we start getting played with, trying to get pulled and tugged, it is one of those that it's not just a one and done. There is things that come in play afterwards. You still need to be speaking to someone. You want to make sure that you don't open yourself up again to have other things happen. And again, like I said, if there is any type of mental health that is involved in it, you have to make sure the doctors are aware of what's going on. Can it be their medication? Is it not doing something right? You also have to watch because a lot of those people become very suicidal. And so you really have somebody's life in your hands, and you have to make sure you dot all the I's and cross all your T's.
Denise wants to know, if you don't mind, can you tell us and give us one of your stories or examples, please?
Story about a possession?
Yes.
Okay. That was the young guy that we were talking about. He's still, he ended up getting baptized. Still struggles with a lot of things. But each day gets a little better. But I think what's going to happen as he keeps, growing and moving on, he is going to struggle with the anxiety of what he went through. And he's kind of like that borderline, to be honest. So we actually keep tabs on him and call and just make sure things are still going well. If we start seeing it, teeter to the wrong side, then we will actually step back in.
If once possessed, is it easier to get possessed again?
Absolutely.
I know somebody's got that question. I just want to throw it out real quick.
Yes. Because again, you have already opened yourself up. But people got to remember, when you get possessed, it's because you are allowing it. You got to remember that we have free will. So any demon, if you want to go down that road, can oppress you, can do infestation, can do all of that. But it cannot possess you unless you allow it in. So you're not just going to walk down the street and a demon just jump off of a building like you see in all these movies and shows and say, hello, we're possessed. This is something they don't have a time, they can stay dormant, beyond years, but they can mess with you. We've had people that have been messed with for over 10 years, but you have to stay strong and you do your own faith base. So it doesn't mean you don't have to be religious. You don't have to walk through a church door. And that's what people also, think, because of exorcists or demonologists, everything is all, you have to be part of the church. That's not what it is. Your faith-based, what you feel the strongest with is what protects you. That's what saves you. Because I go in with my own belief, but I'm not going to make that family go through that same belief, because then again, you're not going to get the true factor of what they need to protect themselves. So, demons have been around longer than anybody or anything or even Earth. And they're always going to try to meddle and try to get into things. But you got to remember, every other faith base also have their own demons. They all do the same thing. What they want to do is, how many people can they get to their side? It's kind of like, a school ground fight. What gang is better than the other gang? And that happens in the spiritual world. And so you are your strongest protector because you hold on to whatever faith base you believe in to help you.
Interesting. 2 questions came across. One from Little Twisted. Are demons disembodied entities of Nephilim?
No.
Denise asks Michelle, suppose you are sick at the low moment. How can you stop them, referring to demons, from coming in?
Well, you can be really sick and everything, but as long as you don't say, hey, come on in, I got nothing better to do, you physically and wholeheartedly would have to invite them in. Will they come around you and mess with you and make you start thinking you're going crazy? Will they mess with you that when you turn on a radio and you hear a song, you think it's your story and how it's putting you down, that you're no good and nobody wants you? Those are the things that will happen, but they will not go inside of you unless you ask them to. We see it on TV and everything so much that somebody just, in their home and poof, there it is. At some point, you have stepped up. If they're coming into you, given that you can cross this line now, you can have me, you can do this. That's why when you look at a lot of people who really think that they've gone through this possession, they've gone through straight up hell, then those are normally the ones that will end up taking their own lives because they don't want the demons to have their soul.
Interesting.
Crazy. So we're talking about all the demonology. We're talking about all the you would be someone that if I was like, hey, let's go on a ghost hunt, I'd be expecting you just kind of walk through, go, yeah. I mean, because I wouldn't think anything would really surprise you or really terrify you on a regular ghost investigation. Have you had anything? Even with all the other stuff you've done and stuff you've been around, have you ever been on the investigation where you're like, holy crap, did that just happen?
Absolutely. I will jump and I do get scared because, like when they come into your face and you see their face and they look like zombies, it catches you off guard because you don't know what type of spirit it is. Is it something that's very angry or is it something that just wants to be heard? So I catch myself. I know I had a chance to go investigate a location last weekend, and I knew this thing was coming at me, but I couldn't physically see it. And so that catches me off guard if they're not showing themselves, okay, what are you and what are you doing? And it literally punched me in my back. It made me fall over and there was a spot. And that was because it wouldn't come in front of me. It stayed behind me and I knew it was there, but I couldn't grasp what it was. And that's when I get real nervous because I'm like, okay, we're about to get something that's not so nice. And those are the times that it just terrifies me.
Can I show you something that somebody does on social media that just drives me nuts? And I went face to face with them one night.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, watch what this guy does. And action. So people come to him to request a demon to be put inside of you.
Are they paying him?
Some give him money.
Okay.
What's up, brother?
And I felt that in my chest.
Yeah,
Changed
that's one of my
voice.
favorites. When they feel it in the chest, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a powerful demon.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it brought the whole house down.
whole house.
No, the whole house.
But I hope it does. I appreciate it.
I hope so. I want to hear about it. I'll see you soon, brother.
You have a great day.
You too. We love him.
And he just
Great
made
guy.
money just
Great
off
guy.
that hat.
Salami, thank you so much for the cowboy hat. Good fella. Yeah, we possessed him at least, 4 times? I think we possessed him 4 times now. He's been having a lot of demon experiences. His house, it's been
I'm going to stop because I don't like watching it. I just want to show you what happens. It's insane, people.
So,
It is insane. I actually went toe to toe one night with him. And I actually prayed for him. And yeah, he kicked me off his live. Of course he will. I know, Tio Real. And people go out there and pay him and give him money.
Now, let me let you guys know, this is a little secret between your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
A demon doesn't want you. They hate us. They want nothing to do with us. So they're not just going to jump in your body because they don't need us. They are more powerful without us. The only reason they try to possess us is to make a mockery of God and saying, look at who we're taking away. So this stuff, people thinking they need a demon to be stronger. Okay, well, that right there is total BS. Second of all, you cannot control a demon to go inside of you. They do what they want. They hate us so much because we're loved by something stronger. That's why even in the Bible, it states, God let the devil know, you can use these humans, toss them around like rag dolls. But one thing you can't never have that will always be mine is their soul. So what do you think that was? Game on. Not here. I'm in the wrong business. That's all I got to say.
On and we discussed this the other night. I'm like, yeah. Anyways, but anyway, yeah. But one night he had over like 20. Go ahead. Go ahead, on.
What? Oh, that's okay. It's good that you talked over me. No, really.
Because one night he had like 2,700 people, and they were like, girls were begging. I mean, sending like $20 at a time to them. And yeah, it was just. I just wanted to see your reaction on that. So
well, here's the crazy thing. There is another guy out there, and I don't know who he is, but I had a case call me, and he said he was struggling to find out where does he belong spiritually. He felt empty. So this guy told him that he could help him and that he was going to send him some stuff. And this guy's across the pond, I guess. And he told him, listen, I'm gonna help you find that spiritual strength and all this. And he sent him, and I don't know if it was tea or what it was. The guy ended up, I don't know if it's ayahuasca, what it was, but the guy said he ended up drinking it, sent a lot of money to it, wasn't sure what was going on. And then he noticed the guy when he was on the phone, because he had to do it with this guy on the phone. The guy started doing hand gestures and pushing things. He goes, I think he pushed something in me. Now, I will tell you guys, the guy did have an extreme attachment of something really dark and evil. It wasn't a demon, but it was just something dark that he opened himself up and invited in. And again, when you invite something in, it's hard for a lot of people. If they say, oh, I can get everything out of you, I'm going to tell you, I can actually sell you some property real cheap. Because when you invite something in, it will take everything and anything to get something out, because you have to yourself expel it. And so this guy's making money doing the same type of stuff. I'm going to give you this courage. I'm going to put something in you. And I've been trying to work with this guy. I actually had the deacons come with me, and I wanted to see how he acted. So I gave him a rosary, and he touched it, and we all sat there, and his eyes turned completely black. And then he stuck it in the pouch and just held it, and then came back and said, I don't think I'm going to need your help, because he was getting Reiki. He was getting cord cutting, and he goes, the more he did all of that, the worse it was getting. So
interesting.
So people do fall for that. Very much so.
So you just brought up attachment. So with your experience, and you've been doing this for a while, and you're involved heavily, have you had the attachment yet? Has anything attached to you?
Luckily, not yet. And I'm going to keep it that way. So like my home is my sanctuary. I've got it like Fort Knox. I really take good care of myself. If I do feel anything then I go and start taking care of myself. It does pull on me. Now, I'm pretty sure that Ane has seen what might be standing behind me. That is my guide, and he probably is about 7-8 foot tall. Looks like a very old monk. He shows himself a lot, and but that's the only thing that follows me. He's not attached, but he follows me and he pops up at the strangest times, especially when I'm doing shows. People that'll be watching, you'll be, hey, what's that standing behind you? And I'm like, yo, that's my bro.
He's got back. So, Anne, do you see that behind her?
Oh, I
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth connected.
What was that?
What was that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I
Isn't
heard.
that weird?
I heard something. Look, I already got activity in my studio. My light done turned off earlier. So please don't let me start squirting holy water everywhere during the live.
It sounded like somebody was getting directions from Siri. That's
I don't
the
have
voice
Siri.
I heard.
Not in the
voice
studio.
I heard.
And I don't have
Twisted
Siri
heard
either.
it.
Okay. Studio
So,
audience
yeah.
heard it too.
Yeah, they heard it.
Yeah.
All right.
Weird stuff happens to me when I'm around electronics. But yes, I've actually been seeing 3 things around you, actually even 4. So, because the little one right down there on your, I think it's your left side. Well, I'm looking at you, so it's on the left. But it's like kind of like peeking up and like jumping up and down because it wants to be seen. But you have 3 larger ones for sure, and then you have this little tiny one, which kind of almost like if I'm going to explain, it's kind of almost childlike, but it's not a child. So you've got several around you, and you definitely have, your relatives and your angels around you because they're showing me wings. And so, yeah, I've been seeing them. But that one little one, I don't know where or how you got that one around you, but that is adorable. And it's not even like, it's almost, it's kind of giving me, and I say he, but because I'm feeling it's a masculine energy, but kind of almost like fairy or fae kind of energy, or gnome, or like that kind of thing. Yes, that's what they're kind of making me feel. So yeah, and it's not the only one. So they when you need them, they are there for you. So it's like a whole team of them for you. But that's like the one who's like the most connected to you, almost kind of like took you on as like their project in a sense, like they're your guardian in a sense, and they took on that role. So, but you've also helped them in many ways. So, and that's why they're just kind of like, they're feeling that tight connection with you. But yeah, you have 3 others behind you, and you do have a very tall one. But and then there's 3 tall ones, but there's one that's very tall.
Yes.
But and then one has, I don't know if you know this or if I'm just seeing this, but one has red eyes and one has yellow eyes. So I don't know what that necessarily means. But if you understand it, then that's great.
Yes. So they show themselves in different ways, always with a hooded thing. But a lot of times when I'm talking on here, you'll start seeing it gets fuzzy and stuff like that. And then you can see them really coming over. But for you to get the little one, girl, you are good, because nobody ever gets the little one. You were the first.
Oh my gosh, that was like the most obvious ones for me. I don't know. So the others were like the red-eyed one is like, he's more quiet, silent. The red-eyed or the yellow-eyed one, it's more like a glowing in the dark kind of thing. And that one is the one that you actually see standing by your bed mostly. And it's actually, he carries a sword when you're on investigations and things, that he feels like he's the one, the knight.
My warrior.
I feel like he's showing me a sword. Yeah. So, but the red-eyed one, he's showing me he's more mental, as far as like mental protection and things like that for you. And so he's just kind of like, he projects for you. But I don't know who that was that just spoke through whatever we heard. That was like creepy, but
everybody in the audience is like, we don't see Jack.
No, good job.
No, that is awesome. Like I said, randomly I'll hear it, but no one's ever talked about the little guy. The one you're talking about, the eyes. When we go on investigations, when you do a paranormal investigation, we sleep in horrible places, and we always end up in rooms together or whatever with our cots or whatever we have. And there's been many times they've woken up like freaked out because this thing is hovering over me, like just watching me. And I feel really protected, almost like, nobody can mess with me because I think, Anna, you would understand when we're in our sleep state, no matter what we do, we will project everywhere and we can become targets. And that's one thing I did learn. And I don't care how much protection I put around me, around my bed, it just happens. And those are our weakest points to get whatever wants to come and get us. And I think, Ani, you would probably agree with that. So when they say they see him over me, I feel like that's what he's doing. Like, hey, Michelle, stop it. Stay down there, so I'm not traveling all over the place.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of my memories are of me looking down at myself. So it's almost like a self-protection kind of mode. So yeah, we do
It's
leave,
important.
especially when we're sleeping. It's astral traveling and leaving our bodies and vulnerable. And that's where they're guarding us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
He's adorable, though, this little guy. Oh my gosh, he's just so adorable. He's like waving at everybody. So I'm like, this is cute. So
you brought up investigations, and you're the founder of Riverside, Iowa Paranormal.
Yes.
What obviously Iowa, right? But
Yes.
you've been this for a long time, so you've done some pretty big investigations, I'm sure, throughout the whole country or even overseas. We're actually getting ready to go to York next month, London and York. First of all, have you ever been to York? Have you ever investigated anything there? Because they say it's like the most haunted place in Europe.
No, I haven't. I did Scotland. Actually went on the trail of, the witches, the massacres and stuff like that. And in 2025, September, I've got like an event. People pay tickets to come with me, and I'll be going over to Ireland. So I'll be going on those trails of haunted locations. And guess where I'm going? I'm going to a fairy fort. And I'm so excited.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought she was going to catch on. She'd be like, what?
You'll have to go to visit I own 5 square feet of land in Ireland. So
You have a tree?
Stand on my little spot of land. I have a little the English potter at the Renaissance Festival made me a little castle and moat for my little plot of land. So
that's cool.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to travel there to go do it.
You can join me in Ireland.
Good luck there.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that. And I love it that it's gonna, it's a small group. It's all, it's everything's paid, and so they're stay and all that. But they'll be able to experience all that first stuff with me. And that's what makes it so exciting because, we start bringing to life some of the stuff that's out there. And to me, it's like, I'm like a kid in a candy store because I'm like, this is a new thing. This is not, haven't heard stories. These are off the beaten trail. So it's not your big things that, like the Conjuring house, you think about it. It had movies, it has all that. So there's so many different stories out there. And even if you go in there, like myself, if you see something, it's hard to talk about it because you're like, people already have a way of thinking what that should be. So going to places that people don't really know about and you go for the first time and you really see it, love it. Love it.
We had talked a little bit before we came on about, you're actually just explained something that to me it really isn't well known. The Edinburgh Manor there, which is near you, and you have a lot of events there, or you do a lot of hunts there. Maybe now's the time you brag about it to everybody that's listening and make them aware of it.
Well, Edinburgh Manor was first established as a poor farm. So a lot of places in the Midwest this is only what I know about the Midwest. They all started as poor farms, and that was actually mainly women and children. So when a woman lost her husband, back then, women, we were not allowed to own land or anything. So if it was a family member that kept it, then maybe you were lucky to live there. If not, you just got dropped off somewhere, and you would be able to live for free with your children, but you kind of help work, farmlands or different things to earn your keep. Well, after a while, then that turned into, a lot of them turned into asylums. And Edinburgh Manor being where it's located from the Midwest, from like Nebraska, Ohio, different areas, be about middle of the night, they would just drive by, drop people off, drive off, and never come back. And that happened to a lot of places in the Midwest. That's how they were able, to figure out, okay, we're just going to stuff a whole bunch of them here. Some might have had mental issues, and again, like women, if women spoke out or didn't act right, we call it postpartum depression after childbirth. Back then, they didn't realize that stuff. So now my wife is tainted, something's wrong, I'm just going to dump her. And that a lot of that stuff happened. Children who had any kind of disabilities were dumped off there. So that place had seen different, stages of things. They did, think about it, we wouldn't have the medicines and the stuff we have nowadays if it wasn't for those who actually sacrificed themselves in those places of learning how to take care of mental health or anything else. When you go to some places that have TB, these people were dropped off. They had to give all their goods that they had with them, and they knew they were never going to leave. So you keep having all these different things. And then when those started rolling down, they needed to do something to keep the money going. So now they're taking all that's already been there and now making it into a nursing home. So now you got people at the end of their lives dealing with all this spiritual energy all over the place. And then they go. And then finally, when there's nothing else, they close them down. And when I mean close them down, it's they turn off the lights, walk out, and leave everybody's personal information behind, everything. Like these people just don't want nothing. We're just going to sweep them off. And you think about all that type of energy that's stuck in these buildings and the torment and the anguish, of not feeling loved or anything like that. It actually comes out in spirits that are there. So again, we talk about manifestation. Well, when you have something that is so big and so bad at some point, their manifestation would be a big, dark, black entity that, never had the power while they were alive, but now they're going to try to show themselves as powerful. And those are the things I see. So it doesn't, that's why I always say everybody's just too quick to say demons, but a lot of times it's the manifestation of this energy that has created something that would be like a demon, the characteristics of it. But this place is amazing because you have all three levels. And they got to the point where people were dying so fast that they were just getting buried all over the grounds. So.
No, thank you for that. And for anybody that's looking for a place to hunt, that's definitely, it scared the heck out of my wife, and it scared me some. I stayed in there after dark, though she didn't. So you offer services. Let me rephrase that. You mentor, right?
Yes.
That's something that Grizzly and I talk about a lot, and I'm sure Ani agrees with us. We got to get the other people, the newer people into this, and the people that are just wanting to start. We don't want to see the people fly by night people just taking their money from them, trying to show them, hey, this is how you hunt, stuff like that. What's your best advice to give newcomers coming into the paranormal field?
Throw your egos at the door. Quit worrying about 5 minutes of fame.
Yep.
Because spirits want to talk. They want you to know they're there. They want to let you know what's happened to them. You need to go in with an open mind and think about when you're going into that location, you're going in to speak to them, and not worry about how many clicks you're getting on, TikTok. And that's the bad thing. Because of that, it's kind of made the paranormal field look just really sloppy right now. People are nasty to each other. And this word para-unity, whoever came up with that, I'm not sure, because it's never existed.
Exactly.
And it just gets thrown out there. Just like, thrown out there like beads at Mardi Gras. It just doesn't work. The biggest thing is when we started doing this with Riverside Iowa Paranormal, it wasn't about going to do events or going to do different things. We did it because there are still families in need of help. Sometimes there's things going on in their homes. They don't understand it. They don't know who to call or talk to, because nobody will come anymore because they can't use their cameras and put it live or do anything else. The reason we started doing events, we do not charge any families for our services. Nothing. So the events helps put gas in the team's cars, or if we go too far out, maybe a hotel, so we can spend a couple of nights there helping these families. That is the concept of what Riverside Iowa Paranormal does. We're not an event center. We're not trying to make a quick buck. When we do our events, people know when they buy that ticket, 50% of that ticket goes to the location for historical preservation. The other 50% go to help families in need. We get nothing. We all have day jobs.
Yep.
So we're still, I don't know how many are out there, but, we're really the only ones that get a lot of the calls. There's some we can't go to because they're in different states. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But we can try and help navigate them. If we are on FaceTime, walk around with them, listen to their story, because even though the paranormal is in everybody's face right now, there are still a lot of people that are afraid to say something because they don't want to be said, what kind of medication you on? Does that make you hallucinate? They want to be believed. And that's the part that's missing out of the paranormal field right now.
So that being said, and this being my last show, is last time I'll probably say it. So I started a social media platform called paralinked.com, PARALINKED. It's basically a Facebook, but it's for the paranormal only. It's 100% free for everybody. They come do their listings, get opportunity. I encourage everybody listening or, watching later on, whatever, to get the opportunity, check it out. You can post on it, you can do all that stuff. So that's just my little plug for that. But I'm like you, I don't really believe in charging people for nothing. If it's something that we're really interested in and we want to help people, that's what we do. I mean, that's one way I found that I could help people was by starting that. I mean, we've got a lot of followers. Obviously, we would love to have more because we want to spread positivity in the community. People post positive stuff. So that's what we introduced that for. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and sorry, Grizzly and Ane, if I'm rambling on here. You offer removal and storage of haunted items. So we've had other people on here that offer that too, right? So I'd like to know, and I'm sure everybody listening would like to know, what do you consider to be your most haunted item, and why do you believe it's haunted like that?
Well, a couple things. So I do have a lot of haunted objects. They're not in a museum. Nobody gets to come and see them. I have them locked in an undisclosed location, gets blessed, taken care of that way. The only thing that ever really jumped out at me that just kind of threw me for a loop, I know there's something on it, but haven't completely figured it out. So it's still a little bit in that play, but it's a samurai sword and it still has blood all over it. And when the guy said I need to get rid of it because I was using it to cut myself during rituals, but for some reason, the more I cut myself, the more the rituals got darker and darker. And now the sword is talking to me, wants me to kill myself. And he was going on. And he goes, I need to get rid of it. Can I just send it to you? And I told him, okay, send it to me. And so it still has blood on it. The energy on the sword itself, we actually use gloves. I wear white gloves when I'm touching these items just to protect myself. but just going close to it, it has this ominous feeling. I don't know if it's because of the rituals or what it is, or was it because he was doing self-harm? But that one, I've got it in a case. It's locked. It's got salt around it. It's got everything, I think. It's got all the little crosses and all that. Because I don't think it needs to be disturbed. I think it needs to be just lied still and nothing else.
I don't blame you for that.
And again, we don't put it out in the public. We don't show people stuff. We don't say what is haunted, what isn't, because I will tell you there's some items that people thought were haunted that I can say that really aren't. But I'm not going to send it back to them and say something. I'm keeping it away. Their lives are better now, and that's how it's going to stay. So we don't, it's not like we're a traveling carnival and say, look what we have.
Now, you do a podcast of your own too, don't you?
Absolutely. The
On
darker
Tuesday.
side.
Yeah. So they just on YouTube, they come find you on YouTube and
Absolutely. I do it with the UNX network. It's every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I try to look pretty much the darker side of things. Everybody wants to talk more of the lighter side of things. I kind of go down that hole because just like when we're talking about cryptids, UFOs, again, they have their dark side and light side too. So my guests, we kind of dig in deeper and say, okay, well, we hear A, B, and C, but let's really talk about D that nobody else is. And we kind of go down those trails. We have some fun ones too, but I try to keep it a little bit more of the, even conspiracy theories. How did it get started? What was the dark path it took and things like that.
I tell you what, Grizz, you're going to have to get her back on because there's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to touch anything, and we're not going over to her house for dinner. I'm just saying.
It's not in my house. It is very far away from my house.
All right.
And it's definitely not with Zach Bagans. But I guarantee if he'd seen it, he'd probably get me some cash.
Probably would. Yes, probably would, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, I was like, woo. I was like, I'm not sitting at that table eating. No, I'm just saying. But anyways. So how does everybody reach out and find you and follow you, Michelle?
Well, actually, the best way to do it is just look me up right on Facebook and you can follow me. I put everything that I do on there. I also have our page for Riverside, Iowa Paranormal. So if you're interested in knowing some of the events we go to, the events are very inexpensive. We don't charge a lot of money, and you know that your money is going to something good. And we'd love to see a lot of you in the dark.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic.
All right. Well,
Tracy, I'm not going to cry. I promise.
I know. It's been a blessing to meet you, Grizz, and I appreciate everything that you've
yeah, the door's always open, right? You're going to come back. You're going to say, Anna's got her own show now, so she's part of the Outlaw gang. So, right? So, yes, absolutely.
No, definitely, man. I definitely will be back on. And Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come do this with us.
Thank you guys for having me. Hopefully I wasn't too boring.
No, everybody loved you, and we definitely got to have you back at the right on A.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
That was really
and
I was like trying to think of questions, but you just kept answering them. And it's like, oh my gosh, I was just fascinated by your story. Just kept going and flowing so well. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm just enjoying this.
Yeah.
I was actually on live.
Yes, and thank you. And from coast to coast around the world, don't forget, we got another show coming up, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in. Barbara's got a surprise for us. Thank you.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.